We are back on Project Good Enough. All right, guys, so I've been dragging my feet on this front end of the truck here, not wanting to deal with it. So in order to get the cooling system and everything figured out on this truck, I've got to get the front sheet metal figured out. So the front grille on the truck here needs some work. It's got a big dent right there and it's got one down there. So I've got to get this thing kind of straightened out a little bit. Now, since I'm not using a lot of the inner structure from the original cabover, the grille is going to be a major component as far as tying the fenders together. Now the grille bolts onto the fenders there, and then on here as well. So before I tackle the cooling system and the core support and all that type of stuff, I want to get these fenders and the grille straightened out so I know all of this stuff is bolted on correctly. Now this driver's side fender here needs to be banged out a little bit and fixed. I'm not too concerned with how it looks, honestly. It's not that bad. I just want to try to straighten it out as best I can, make it look a little bit better. Now the other issue I have is right here where it bolts up to the cab. I really want to try to get this sealed back up again because this is the inner wheel well part. I really don't want water and debris and stuff flying up through here onto the door. And because this thing sat for so many years, I think this thing just got water in there and then froze, and then the ice just basically pushed these things apart. So I've got to get this apart to fix this. I've obviously got a big rust hole here that I need to address as well. And then down here on the fender, this is all, you know, it's coming apart. It's pretty thin and crunchy, so I need to try to address some of that as well. The lower steps down here, I'm not really worried about them too much. I'll replace these top pieces with something. I'll just do something else, but otherwise the rest of it, the way it looks, is fine. I will end up doing cab corners on this thing and then just try to do a matched paint job. I'll try to match this green as best I can and, you know, do a little rusty patina paint job on it to blend it all in eventually. But the biggest concern right now is just getting the steps and fenders off of this truck and see what kind of nightmare we're gonna run into. All right, I gotta bust out the breaker bar. I haven't had these wheels off this thing yet. Oh wow, what is that? Oh, this is one of those balancing rings, but all the zip ties are busted on it. Interesting. So first look at the rotors and everything. Everything looks fine, it's just been sitting forever. Other than that little bit that I drove it around the block, but big old calipers on this thing. Brakes look like they're okay, they got plenty of meat. Good shape there. Let's see. So this bolts together. So these all need to come out. I'm just trying to paint a mental picture here of everything. All right, now I'm just gonna cut whatever threads are sticking out past the nuts on these. Oh, there we go. Whatever works, I don't care. Oh yeah. Buy an Illinois truck. Drag it back to Arizona. Good idea. This one's got all kinds of schmoo on it. Look at that, one bolt from 1955 actually came out. Of course, that's assuming this thing's never been taken apart. I would venture to say it probably hasn't been. Oh, that one snapped off, okay. Works for me. All right, I got one left holding this whole thing up. And this is gonna come crashing down on me. I should probably get some jack stands. All right, see if this thing falls and smacks me in the head. Maybe it'll knock some sense into me. But that's doubtful. There we go. She broke. All right, I think it's off. Let me crawl out of here. There, she's off. All right, there we go. Let's go over here with this. Boy, she looks funny without fenders on it. Well, I can get to the headers and spark plugs easy now. Maybe that's what I should do, is just put all the steps and fenders on a hinge and I can just hinge it up. I can just go. All right, well, as you can see, we've got a lot of rust in here. I just got to be careful with this. I'm not going to obsess over it too much. I got to fix this and kind of tie this stuff back together again. This is just completely rust jacked. From rust jacking, this thing is completely coming apart. Back here isn't horrible, you know, and then of course that I'll have to figure out later, but so, all right. But at least now I can get in here and fix this hinge pocket. The upper hinge pocket up here is in good shape, but this one down here obviously is no good. And I'm not sure what I'll do as far as this goes. I have seen a lot of cabovers actually that don't utilize this. They only utilize this one up here. And if I can figure something like that out, or just kind of beef this up a little bit, try to put it back together again, I will. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then I'll just hammer and dolly this edge out to get this thing straightened back out again. And then I'll put something in there, some kind of welting or whatever, just to fill in that gap and fix it. Obviously all this stuff up here needs to be welded up too when I did the flooring and whatnot. Not a big deal. Now I can get to it, so now is when I'll do it. And then as far as back here goes on the cab corner, this is all Chevy, this is all pickup truck stuff right here. So I should be fine as far as fixing all this and putting it back together again. I think the cab corners and the inner cab corners from the Chevy trucks, the pickup trucks, work for back here. So I think I'm gonna order these, get these coming, and then I should be able to just kind of overlap this and cut this out and repair all this with that. That'll take care of all this, hopefully. My big concern is this corner right here. This is a major corner on these cabovers. So we'll have to figure this out. I need to find someone in the valley that's got one of these trucks that I could make a template out of with some tape or cardboard or whatever. I need to figure that out. If you know anybody in the Phoenix area that's got one of these things that would let me do that, let me know. Leave a comment down below. This stuff here now. Yeah, all this stuff is the original welting here. So all this I can fix. This actually is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, so this is good. This is actually in better shape than I thought. This, of course, here is pretty bad. I may not even mess with this. I may just leave this alone to avoid opening that can of worms. And then that fender there, I'm just gonna have to beat that out. I can basically leave it right where it is and just start stepping on it or beating it out. But otherwise that front part up there is in really good shape, so that's good too. I'm gonna see what I can do here as far as knocking this dent out real quick. I've got my dead blow, and this stuff is really thick too. I was really surprised how thick these old fenders are. So I'm gonna see what I can do here. At least just get it straightened out a little bit anyway. Let's see. These fenders are pretty flat right in here, so that's a good thing. Well, it's coming out anyway. Looks better. Okay. Ow. All right, let me flip that over and see what it looks like, see how bad it is, I guess. I'd say it's a little rusty. The whole headlight ring fell out of it. Oh, man. Well, it's definitely better. It's gonna need some hammer and dolly work, of course, but it's at least coming out. I think I'll just work on this a little bit and try to get this straightened out. Definitely not looking for perfection on this at all. If I can just get it straightened out a little bit, I'd be happy. Now the headlight bucket completely fell out of it. The old springs, all this stuff is completely rotted and gone. I mean, I'm hoping there's enough bezel here to hold the headlight in, but I don't know. I may have to source another one, a used one or something, but we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. No, don't do that. Yeah, that's not gonna work. All right, I got a dolly and the hammer and a slapper. I'm just gonna see what I can do here. I gotta get some of this beat out a little bit more. Wow. Boy, that stuff is thick. That's crazy. Like I said, I'm definitely not looking for perfection. Not at all. This thing's got a little curve to it, and it's got to be flatter. Jeez. It's hard to hit out. Plus, I'm trying to hold the fender too. It's kind of difficult. Trying to think. Best way to do this here. It's a little better. They don't make sheet metal like that anymore. All right, I'm trying to focus on right here where the grill bolts on. It's recessed right here and right here, of course, but this needs to be flat. So I'm just trying to work this little area, and it's coming out slowly, but it's definitely not easy. I'd like to clamp this thing to the table. All right, that helped me hold it a little. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. I cannot get that stuff to move. That's crazy. All right, well. How can I do that? I think I'm gonna have to do it backwards. Well, let's see, I'm gonna have to go like this. That's better. Okay, that's working. So, okay, that's looking better. Some of this I won't be able to get out. This thing is wrinkled really hard, and that's okay. I'm not looking, like, again, I'm not looking for perfection here. I'd like to get this one out up here if I can. I mean, some of this I don't mind. I like the bruises of it, you know. It looks good. It's got character. Let's see, I gotta do this the other way. Turn this around. That's better. That's a lot flatter. Looks pretty decent. All right, I'm just gonna work on this thing a little bit. I'll put you on time lapse here. I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to this. I'm sure the neighbors don't either. So I'm gonna try to just knock this out as quick as I can. Get it close. We're close, actually. Like I said, I'm not worried about the hole up here and this and all. I don't care about any of this. I like the scar, the battle scars, you know. All right, guys, I'm actually pretty darn happy with that. I got this dent out up here, and it looks pretty good. And then this I'm not gonna be able to do anything with. It's just really thick right here along this seam, and it's boogered up pretty hard. So without putting some major heat to it or whatever, I don't care. It's fine with me the way it looks. It actually looks fine. But I got a lot of this stuff out. And then where this thing was all gouged right here and peeled around, I got that straightened out. And the rest of it, it actually looks pretty good for what it is, you know. This is all nice and flat, pretty flat anyway, and straight. So I'm actually happy with that. I think I'm just gonna leave it alone and just leave it right where she sits. I think we're good. It looks way better than it did. And that'll help me bolt the grill back on the way it's supposed to be in the front. So I think we're all right. I'm sure I'll have to manipulate the fender this way, that way, whatever. I don't know, once I get it back on the truck later. But it definitely looks a lot better. I got pretty good arm pump doing that, man. I can't do that for very long. I got to give up on it. It's just too much. All right, and I'm gonna try to work this seam right here, try to get it flattened out a little bit. Now, truthfully, I don't know. I'm assuming this edge right here is supposed to be flat, but because I have nothing to go off of, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense that it's flat, you know, because the cab is flat. Now it almost looks like there's ridges in here that are pushed in, so I don't think it's supposed to be 100% flat. So I'm not gonna make it 100% flat. I'm just gonna get it close. Okay. All right, that is much, much better. Nice and flat now. Yeah, you can see it in the stamping of the sheet metal here. There's indentations you know, where it quenches it together and relieves it. So those definitely need to stay there. For you cabover guys out there, now the front part of this fender has all these captured nuts. Well, these holes are square, so I'm assuming only these have those, and I'm assuming these back here are just regular bolts. At least that's what was in there, but I really don't know. It looks like it's just regular bolts because they're round holes. But yeah, if you cabover guys could let me know, because I just don't know. Otherwise, it looks better than I thought. I really don't want to mess with any of this as far as like wire wheeling it or anything. I'm not going to touch it because I want to leave the patina of it. I don't want to get into messing up the paint or anything up here. So I'm just going to leave this alone. It's actually a lot more solid than I thought. I thought when I was going to start hitting it with a hammer, it would disintegrate, but it really didn't. As far as this goes, this thing's pretty bad. The other problem is too, is this needs to be sealed from weather, so I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I don't know if I can weld this. I don't think there's enough material there to weld. I don't know what I'm gonna do there. All I can do is get it as good as I can, really. If I can seal the inside at least to make sure the inside is sealed so no water will get inside, I'll be happy. If this is, you know, broke free here, it's okay because it'll just be in the hinge pocket and it'll drain out. Because I've got the inner panel welded in where it can't get inside at least, so it should be all right there. I don't know if I should cut all this out and weld in a new piece or not. It's solid back here, but up here it's just junk. And there's not much to weld to up here is the other problem. I mean, I could do it, but I don't know. I might as well. Yeah, like this stuff here I don't care about. It's fine down here. You know, up here, this new panel's welded and they're solid all the way around. I think what I'll do is up in here, I'll just get these seams as close as I can and I'll put seam sealer in there. I'll just goop all of this stuff in there. I don't care. It'll be all right. I just want to keep the water from getting inside the truck. That's my main goal. Because I got to weld in the inside right here to weld this up. And then I can just seam seal the outside of this as well. Maybe I can take the sandblaster and just do spot sandblast everywhere where I can put seam sealer, and then I'll goop this whole thing. I don't care. Maybe hit it with POR or whatever, that, you know, some of that rust stuff. All right, I'm gonna work on this lower flange right here. Get this thing straightened out a little bit. I'm gonna do a lot of little welding in here, that stuff I need to just finalize from when I put all the patches in from the inside. Made up a quick and dirty little patch here. Just gonna weld this thing in place, and I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna be able to get it fully welded all the way out to the end, but it'll be all right. Be all right. We're just gonna work with what we have. Whatever's left, which ain't much. Okay, that looks good. It'll be all right. I don't know, maybe I can bend something up and stick it in there and try to just tack it in there. That's a good start anyway, so that'll at least give me a good surface here. Oh man, she's so crusty right there, but it is what it is. So luckily this is Arizona, so I don't have to deal with salt and snow here. I mean, it'll outlive me, that's for sure. So bent up a quick and dirty piece of sheet metal here to hopefully fill this in. Let me see if I can get a tack on that. Well, let's see. And if I can get that up more, I can weld to it. That's better. I think that's about all I'm gonna be able to get. Okay, let's see. Pair of vice grips. There you go. Okay. That looks better anyway. I know a few of you guys had mentioned Fitzy's, whatever, on YouTube, and I do watch him too, yeah. He makes rust repair look really easy. He just doesn't obsess over stuff, you know, it just doesn't, just get it done. At least this is gonna give me something to weld to, you know? It's better than nothing. All right, we're in pretty good shape here. All right, that's good enough. At least it fills that big hole that was under there. I can't really get in there. I can barely get in there to weld that, but I can't weld to this. There's just nothing left of it. It's just too thin. I'm just gonna leave that alone, and that's fine. And then once I get the cab off, I can weld all the rest of this stuff up a little easier along this seam here. This is all open wheel well in here, you know, this whole thing. So the water and everything wants to go through here. So I gotta make sure this whole corner and all this all the way down there is all sealed up as best I can anyway. Now I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do with this fender down here. This is pretty bad. It's really scaled. You know, that's a pretty good chunk, good 3 inches back. I mean, obviously it is kind of structural right here. All these are tied together. So I guess worst case scenario, I could just cut this thing out back here, bend to 90 and then try to weld it up as best I can anyway, make it look halfway decent. The rest of this flange up here on the step is good. I'm not gonna mess with it. All right. Yeah. Myself in a pickle here. All right, got it. Passenger side is not as bad as the driver's side. And I noticed that when I was working on the cab too underneath, that this side wasn't nearly as bad for some reason. Usually the passenger side's worse because everybody runs the shoulder of the road and that's where all the salt is, but not in this case. This flange is in good shape and up to here, and of course we have the same thing to deal with there, but I mean, there's nothing, you know, back here is real solid. The cab corners need to be patched, but that's an easy patch right there, so. This hinge pocket too isn't nearly as bad as well. But yeah, this side here on this step, I probably won't even mess with any of this. I'm just gonna leave this side alone completely. And then I will straighten all this stuff out. This is definitely original because you can see where it looks like staples. So this is definitely original. But yeah, this side's in good shape, which is nice to see. And then as far as dents on this fender, there was some right here, but I don't even know if I'm gonna mess with this. I might not even mess with it. There's a big one right here. I'll probably knock this one out. But down here, it's in really good shape. You know, whatever, really good shape. You know what I mean? It's in decent shape, so it'll look fine. It looks funny with the cab sitting up that high. So after a lengthy conversation with me, myself, and I this morning, I decided to go ahead and pull the cab off of this truck. It's a good time to do it. It just makes sense to do it since I have the fenders and the steps and everything off of the truck. I got a lot of welding and stuff to do on the bottom side of the cab, so now's a good time to do it. I don't think there's anything else I need to do on the bottom side besides welding it up and seam sealing it and then doing some kind of undercoating. And then I can at least put the cab back on the truck and then go ahead and address the rest, you know, and then I can work on the rest of the rust issues and whatnot with it back on the truck. I think I got this thing close. All right, she's flying. Let's see here. Feels like I'm hung up on something here. What is going on here? There we go. All right, just got caught up on the body a little bit. I think I can roll this chassis back. Let's see. I gotta put these somewhere where I can still weld. I think I'll put them right here. I think they'll be all right on this. Okay, it's on those. Just gonna put a couple of these here. I just need to support the front. All right, now what I want to try to do is grab it somehow from the front and then just tilt it up a little bit. Even if I can get it partially, I'll be happy. All right, I got some stuff here. Let's try this. See if this works. All right, that's either gonna work or it won't, so. I don't know what these things are rated for. Probably not much. Almost. This out here, this out here, put this over here. Watch the back. I'm gonna slide this thing forward a little. I don't want it, it's pushing back on the cab and I don't want that to happen. All right, that's better. All right, I think we're okay. Sitting on those jack stands really nice. I mean, that's plenty high enough right there. I can get under that and weld that. I'll just have to, I'll have to figure out some kind of safety though, put something underneath of it. All right, I just got a safety right there to the body and another one over there. That should be fine. Should give me enough. I'm not really worried about it, honestly. And then otherwise, I just got a lot of welding to do along here, along the body. I'll just probably do stitch welds. I don't need to weld the thing fully out. I mean, I could, but I don't think it's necessary. And I just got to weld up a lot of all these junctions and all kinds of crap. Stuff like this, so otherwise, shouldn't be too bad. Perfect time to do it, actually. All right, the other nice thing is too, is I can take care of everything I need to take care of on the chassis as well. I can go ahead and get the headers all done, get the gaskets in, get that bolted up, and go ahead and get the power steering put on and all that done. Then I can go ahead and do the power steering lines and then do all the brake lines. This is a great time to do all this stuff with the cab off. It's perfect timing. And then I'll go ahead and I'll make some supports from up here down to the frame on both sides, just for that forward support. And I'll probably just add some more structure to this thing a little bit and clean it up. And then I'll go ahead and paint all the tree work and get that cleaned up. Then some of this old motorhome stuff, I want to get all this garbage cut off of here from the motorhome on both sides. All right, you guys mentioned in the last video as well on the crossover, the tank, using this as an auxiliary tank. And these tanks are set up for a crossover tube underneath, which makes it really nice. So that'll be easy to do. I think I'm just gonna leave it as extra fuel capacity for right now and see how it goes. I'll just leave it alone. And I'll do a balanced tube. That way it's always, you know, both tanks will always be even and balanced. And then I think what I'll do is I'll make some toolboxes back here to fill in this gap probably underneath the flatbed. And I think that'll look good and that'll work out. Well, there's the rolling chassis again, and bare cab. Seems like 1 step forward and 5 steps back with this deal, but hey, that's part of the build process. All right, cool. Well, it's time to get to welding, but you're gonna have to wait till next week. So I'm gonna call the video here. I'm just gonna get going on this thing, start welding it up, and we'll check back with you next week. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.